Chapter 10, Choosing Without Hunger. First, let's be clear. These patterns aren't strictly about gender. About 25% of the time, the roles flip. Men carry tension, women withdraw. But in most heterosexual pairings, a recognizable dynamic emerges, and understanding it is critical. From early adolescence, around 15 or 16, boys and girls start learning very different lessons about closeness, conflict, and boundaries. Boys are rewarded for pushing, for reaching, for testing limits. Girls are taught to be cautious, to read signals, to ration themselves in response. At that age, when they first meet and connect, even with some disorganized attachment, they can navigate intimacy without push-pull drama. They're naturally attuned, curious, and flexible. As they grow, these early lessons harden. The boy who pushes can either learn patience or escalate pressure. The girl who hesitates can either regulate her caution or ration herself so severely that he withdraws. Often, the shift happens just after the relationship begins. Early reach, initial hesitation, and then the flip. She begins managing tension, he begins retreating. And when sexual dynamics enter the picture, the stakes rise. Men may not fully understand the meaning of no in a nervous system sense, and some women overcompensate, either pushing or rationing intimacy to protect themselves. That's when patterns solidify. This is why, in almost all heterosexual adult relationships, the early dynamic reverses. Women who were cautious often become the carriers of conflict. Men who initially pushed or reached often begin to withdraw. Neither side is wrong. Both are reacting to survival wiring, nervous system activation, and learned patterns. It's not new. Fannie Kelly's Captured by the Sioux Indians gives a historical example. The Sioux chief she lived with had multiple wives, each volatile in her own way. He withdrew to protect himself. Conflict and withdrawal existed long before modern dating apps. They are built into human nervous systems. So what's the solution? Awareness and alignment. Men must learn not to withdraw when tension arises. Women must learn to manage conflict without rationing themselves or overloading the system. Both must understand each other's nervous system, attachment style, pace, and capacity for repair before committing to a life together. Most people fall in love with the rhythm of their own trauma and call it chemistry. To choose differently, you must choose from clarity, not hunger. This requires understanding 4 core dimensions: attachment style, cognitive function stack, human design, and worldview, including how you see the creator and approach spirituality. These aren't just theoretical, they shape how you experience love, safety, and conflict. Cognitive function stack, your patterns of thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuiting, determines how you make decisions and interpret the world. Human design, with its 9 energy centers, helps map how energy flows in your life and relationships. Attachment style explains why you crave, fear, or reject closeness. Worldview shapes your meaning-making and spiritual alignment. When both partners understand themselves and each other in these dimensions, they can withstand tension without triggering loops. They can meet conflict with curiosity, not fear. They can stay steady when the nervous system wants to bolt. This is not settling. This is liberation. The first step, recognize the loop. Name it. Understand it. Stop choosing out of reactivity, desire, or old patterns. Only then can you begin to choose wisely, and only then can love grow steadily without fighting for oxygen. The early wiring, where the loop begins. If you want to understand adult conflict, you have to go back to 15. At 15 or 16, boys and girls are not enemies. They're curious, they're open. They come together naturally. Even kids with unstable attachment patterns can connect without the heavy push-pull we see later in life. So what changes? Repetition. A boy reaches, a girl hesitates. Not because she's cruel, because she's cautious. Her nervous system is reading risk. His nervous system is reading opportunity. If he is secure, he slows down. If he is insecure, he pushes harder. If she feels respected, she opens. If she feels pressured, she rations. And this is where it hardens. When a girl feels early pressure, especially sexual pressure, her nervous system learns that closeness requires defense. So she tightens access. She meters attention. She withholds warmth until she feels safe. That caution is intelligent, but if it becomes chronic rationing, the boy's nervous system adapts too. He reaches. He gets partial access. He feels rejection. He escalates or he withdraws. Some men push, some men shut down. Both are responses to the same signal, uncertainty of safety. This is where the misunderstanding becomes generational. Many young men are never taught how a woman's nervous system works. They interpret no as resistance, not regulation. They interpret hesitation as negotiation. They mistake guardedness for challenge. That is where harm happens. And it must be said clearly. Pressuring a woman sexually is not strength. It is nervous system ignorance. If a woman feels pressured, her body will never fully trust the man again. Even if she stays, even if she consents later, the imprint remains. And here's the part no one talks about. When women chronically ration early, men chronically brace later. By the time they are adults, the pattern has flipped. She now carries the tension. He now withdraws. She brings conflict forward because her system monitors connection. He avoids conflict because his system equates it with failure or rejection. She pursues. He distances. Neither understands that they are reenacting 15. The solution. The solution is not blaming women for caution. The solution is not blaming men for withdrawal. The solution is education and regulation. Women must learn the difference between healthy caution and chronic rationing. Men must learn the difference between confident initiation and nervous system pressure. Men must not withdraw when tension arises. Women must not overload the system with unmanaged conflict. Both must learn to regulate before reacting, and before commitment, before sex becomes bonded, before trauma loops entangle. There must be explicit alignment. How do you handle conflict? How do you respond to no? What does safety feel like in your body? What does repair look like? What pace do you need? If Tuple cannot sit down and talk about these things openly, human design, attachment, cognitive patterns, worldview, they are not ready to bind their nervous systems together. Not because they are bad, because they are uncalibrated.